The most important lessons that I've learned from running an online business didn't come from just watching Alex Hormozi, Iman Gadzhi, and consume a lot of social media content. Because in all reality, most social media content out there is there to sell you on something, program or something like that. But I've actually learned a lot from reading books and learning about history and even current events. And one topic that I like to bring up is the concept of asymmetric warfare. How startups and businesses like our own that we bootstrap can win and progress farther in life than businesses that are funded or are companies that are formed from Amazon and Microsoft, right? Because if you think about it, a lot of innovation nowadays doesn't, for example, OpenClaw, it didn't come from Microsoft or Apple making one of these things. It came from one guy that was completely obsessed and traded every waking hour of his life to build something of value, right? And so nowadays, why does this happen, right? And you're probably thinking, well, Amazon and all these companies have all these resources, why can't they just do the same thing? Well, the thing is they can, but they can't, right? There's probably a lot of rules and regulations, a lot of different things, the opportunity costs and spending, 1 hour of time from one engineer to move it from one project to another. That's why asymmetric warfare wins today, to where a country like Vietnam, who people would quite literally live in tunnels and pop out of a crack on the earth and shoot at us, can win a war against America with helicopters, napalm, and some of the best armies in the world, right? So in this video, we're gonna go over how you can implement asymmetric warfare into your business and be able to win in today's business world, right? And so one thing you want to take a look at in terms of current events is also like Iran, right? So you're probably seeing, what does that have to do with America and Iran? Is Americans sending missiles, and let's say Iran sends a drone, a little drone that's $50. I mean, it's not the exact number, but let's say we have an American missile that comes out there. Sorry, my missile's fucking terrible. American missile is $500, and he knocks it out of the sky. What do they have? They have 10x leverage on us. And so while we're a country with a lot of resources and all those things, over time, all Iran needs is time to win on a 10x leverage scale. And sometimes these situations are even worse. They might be 100x leverage, 1000x leverage. And so what you have as a business owner right now, no matter where you're starting in your business, is you have to find what that leverage looks like, right? Because in another business, let's say you're running an agency, you have another business that's been around for a long time, they have a lot of people, right? And this can be any business, even a home service business, is you only have, let's say you only have your 8 hours per day. Whereas this business, they have 32 hours, right, to spend, right? Well, guess what they also have? They have payroll, right? They have, insurance, right? They have so many of these other responsibilities, blah, 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 that they need to go through. They have SOPs that need to follow. You, on the other hand, you can deploy at anything you want. But obviously, you have less hours, so the things that you need to focus on need to be better, right? One of the greatest things now in this day and age is organic content, right? Founder-led content. Is imagine you started creating content every single day and you say whatever you want and you document your story, right? But a 4-man operation at the company, they have payroll, all those things to make, right? They have to communicate the idea of a video with 3 other guys, make sure all 4 people are on the same page, versus you've already put out 4 pieces of content, right? So one of the greatest pieces of leverage here for asymmetric warfare and online business is your ability to create organic content and for you to not need any rules and regulations from other people, right? In a big corporation, if they wanted to make a social media post from a spokesperson, someone in their company, another person has to look at it, revise it, script it, edit it, and one piece of content probably would take 2 weeks to get done. Whereas for you, you can probably do that in 2 hours or less, right? And so that's infinite leverage simply because of time and opportunity costs, right? For something that takes you only 2 hours to do, because you have more leverage, it takes them 2 weeks. But obviously, likewise, you can be at a company where you have a lot of resources and not a lot of rules, and yeah, they can totally outdo you in output, right? But for actually most businesses, because of the stringent policies and SOPs, they can't do that, right? So the same thing in your business. Let's say you have a sales process where another company, they have a very strict sales process, they gotta show up with a suit and tie, all those things. What I did when I started my agency was a lot of businesses, they're spending more ads than me, and me being the owner operator, instead of waiting for the leads to show up on a Zoom call, I would actually call every single lead immediately as they came in. And if they show on a Zoom call, great, later on. But I would try to pitch them on the spot and get them sold over the phone the moment they came in as a lead. So all the other businesses who are spending more ads than me getting the same leads, by the time those leads don't even jump on a Zoom call with them because they were sold over the phone by me. Right? But initially that worked in terms of asymmetric warfare because I have all the time in the world. I can sit there and I can close deals and be faster than them. Right? I had more leverage because I could be faster, but the one thing is obviously that's not very scalable. You can't scale a business by taking 12-hour calls a day. You're going to get to a ceiling, right? But sometimes you can do something completely unscalable and be able to scale the business in that way. And for me, it was calling leads as immediately as they came in, right? So there is a way within all of your processes in marketing, sales, for you to find an opportunity that has infinite leverage that can use as asymmetric warfare. Right? That's for you to discover, because oftentimes businesses, there's something that's completely unscalable, but sometimes in the beginning parts of the business, the unscalable thing is the thing that you need to do to have more leverage in other businesses. Right? For some people, it's calling leads as immediately as they come in. Right? For some people, it's creating AI UGC. Right? Because some businesses now, they want people, they really care about how good their ads look, how good their organic content looks, what the colors look like. But if you just cared about numbers, testing, volume, you can create AI influencers and create more content, and you can win simply because you test more ideas than them. Whereas they're trying to find the perfect post, go through all the rules to make sure the influencers look like their employees. You created 100 posts and already posted them out and have 10x more feedback than they did because they're figuring out on how to generate the perfect influencer. Right. And so these are things that you need to keep an idea into your business, is sometimes what they're going to teach you on YouTube and social media. Yes, they are good ideas, but most of the time they're trying to sell you on a program. And a lot of the things that we can learn comes from things like asymmetric warfare, current news, history, and all those things. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe, comment, like, and if you need help with your scaling your agency, feel free to book a call with us below. Otherwise, I'll see you on the other side.